once we get that right, which is for me the most important thing, that they have, first of all, respect. The second one is commitment. The third one, passion. Those three ingredients are non-negotiable.
Hello and welcome into the Non-Negotiables podcast. I am Gavin and here today with Justin. How you doing, mate?
I'm good, Gav. How are you?
Yeah, excellent. Great weekend. We are top of the table again.
Yep.
We did say last week that we thought this could be a bit of a pivotal weekend. It turned out maybe to be so. Certainly hope so. The Man United-Liverpool result. Just how nuts was that? Did you watch that game, by the way? Because Liverpool should have been 8-0 up at half time.
I didn't watch it, no, but I was on, like, I was pulling up a match tracker like every 10 minutes. So I was invested, but no, I didn't watch the game.
So you just, every 10 minutes, so you just saw 4 Liverpool shots being updated every 10 minutes. It was madness. Some of the misses was madness. Absolute mad. But let's do this in chronological order. So let's start with a Man City game.
Was it Nunez up top?
Yep. And he actually, he missed some sitters, but what you need to Google is Luis Diaz miss in the last minute, because I have no idea how he managed to get it over the bar from 2 yards out.
I think I might have seen that one.
I don't know how he did it.
A highlight on like Match of the Day or whatever, but yeah, that's crazy. I was honestly pretty shocked, mate. I was expecting that to go, like the seven.
It could have been. It could have been 7-0. Yeah. It absolutely could have been 7-0. I mean, let's do the Man City game first. So,
okay. Yeah.
So we started the weekend with Man City at home to Crystal Palace in the morning. I got up a little bit hungover, admittedly. Took the dogs out and got ready, and I wasn't that bothered. I've said before I don't usually watch Man City games, but I was left unsupervised for the weekend because the wife went away to a friend. So I think, well, what the hell? I'll watch it. So I took the dogs out, and by the time I got in and turned it on, Crystal Palace were 1-0 up. And it was 1-1 actually when I turned it on. I tell a lie, It was 1-1. So I missed the Palace goal. And my phone, I was out with the dogs, and my phone started going nuts, right, with everybody messaging. Of course, it was 3 minutes in. You knew it wasn't going to last. And then it went to 1-1.
Yeah.
So
they scored too early.
Yeah, so I got back in and I turned it on. And have you seen the incident that, was it a penalty? Wasn't it a penalty? Have you seen the grab on the shirt in the box on the Palace player? I think it was on Matete, actually.
I didn't know.
You haven't seen it? Well, ball comes into the box and there's a little grab on the shirt. I think it was John Stones who got him. A little bit of a hug, but I don't think it was enough for a penalty. I know a lot of people this morning, yesterday, were saying, "Oh my God, that should have been a penalty." I'm not sure there was enough there for a penalty for me. But anyway, it just had that inevitability about it. Do you know what I mean? Like, you knew that Man City were going to score, and I wasn't surprised when they did. I turned it off at 3-1. Overall, though, Juz, I mean, we expected them to win that. The fact that we actually extended our goal difference lead over them actually ended up being a pretty decent result for us.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't expect anything other than a City win, so I wasn't disappointed or let down or anything. The first time I checked the score, like the live game, Palace was 1-0 up.
Because then you start to get the hope, right? You get a little butterfly start flapping.
Yep. But it is what it is. I think they were like up. I don't remember the exact minute. I just checked the score, but it was like the 9th minute or something. 1-0 Palace, and I was like, yeah, that's not gonna last. I don't even care really. But decent result. I mean, I think as long as City doesn't run riot, 6-7-0 or something like that. I mean, I think we're still in a decent place.
Yeah, and I just, there's part of me that watches these City games at the minute, and I think, you haven't got control. Like, there were 3 or 4 times in that first half, and it was all City. But there were 3 or 4 times on the break in that first half where Palace could have scored. I mean, Ayew should have scored. He hit the bar. I think that might have been in the second half, but he should have scored. He hit the bar. He could have squared it. Mateta had another one that went just wide. They did have chances, Palace, and I think that's the one part that holds you out hope that they might drop points somewhere. But then you look at their fixtures, and I don't know. I just can't see anything other than 7 wins from 7 for them.
I know what you mean, and I'm setting myself up for that personally. I'm saying, they're going to win out
7 wins. Yeah, I agree.
But I also don't think they're this invincible team like they have been the past couple of seasons. There's definitely, don't get me wrong, I would still say, everybody fit, everybody fine. They probably still have the best squad in the league. But I think there are some chinks in the armor this season a little bit. And maybe that's, cope.
I'll be honest with you, though, Judge. I don't think they do have the best squad in the league anymore.
You don't?
No, I don't. I look at their bench and I look at our bench, and I think our bench is stronger. I think I do like their sub goalkeeper, though. I have to say, I think that Ortega is a good goalkeeper.
Yeah. Did you see that move? I saw the move,
drag back.
Yeah.
Rodri was pretty poor, actually. Rodri made a few mistakes. He got caught on the ball a couple of times, and then there was that back pass that was dodgy.
Well, that's why Palace scored 2, man.
Yeah, I guess
Rodri's
it is. We just need to make a few more of them. But yeah, I think he's good. That Ortega, I think he's good. Mm-hmm. But then I look at the rest of their bench, and I'm looking at Rico Lewis, and then I'm looking at Tomiyasu, and I'm thinking, well, that's advantage us. I don't even know who their third choice centre back is. Probably a Kanji, I guess. And
Gardeval is
Vardiol, who's playing left back. Yeah, and you look at Vardiol and Kivior. I'm not sure there's any advantage to be had there. And then I come into midfield and I look at the players that they've got coming in there. I mean, I don't know what you want to count their first choice 3 as, but I would say it's probably Rodri, Bernardo Silva, and De Bruyne. Would you say probably? And then you've got Kovacic to come in there, and I look and I think, well, Partey's better than Kovacic. Do you know what I mean? So I just think, when I look, and then Jesus or Martinelli, pick whichever one you want to sit on the bench coming on. I don't think they've got anyone as good as them. Like, I think both of them are better than that little Argentine that's massively overrated up front for City. So
I thought you liked that player quite a bit.
I think he's all right. I just don't think he's as worth the hype that he's been getting. I think that the hype with him, has gone too far. I mean, I heard people saying he should be starting in front of Haaland, and it's like, whoa. Slow your roll a little bit there, fella. I mean, I think he's a decent player, but I think he is a rotation option. He's not a starter.
They're like attacking depth. Sorry about that. Their attacking depth, I think, really took a big hit with the Mahrez. The Mahrez.
I agree. I think they hugely downgraded in the summer. Right,
they've got
Mahrez, Doku, Gundogan went, and in came, who did they sign in midfield? Oh, they signed a guy from Wolves, Cunha.
No, Nunez.
Yeah. Yep. So I think they downgraded.
And I haven't even seen him play for City.
I think he might be injured because he did start for a little while in kind of October time, and then he just disappeared. So I don't know. I think he might be injured. But yeah, their squad depth, mate. I don't think their squad is better than ours. I really don't at this point.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm trying to not be biased and look at it, with an even lens, and that's never quite possible. So maybe I'm kind of overcompensating. I do think they're the shallowest they've been in several years this year. Definitely relying more on youth. Like, I'm struggling. What is the
got Oscar Bob, haven't they? Who's come through?
Bob.
Rico Lewis.
Yep.
Obviously Foden's come through their academy. So they've got a few youngsters who do look like good players. Let's be fair. I mean, obviously everyone knows Foden's a good player. Yeah. But that Oscar Bob does look like a good player.
Yeah.
But and right now,
the Argentine kid you were talking about, what is his name? Why am I struggling?
Why am I blanking with his name?
I really like him.
Julian Alvarez.
That's it. Yep.
Julian Alvarez. I think he's a good player, but he's a squad player. Like, he's not getting in our front line.
Nah, yeah, probably not.
And he's not even first off the bench, because that's whichever one of Jesus or Martinelli sat on the bench. Like, they're both better than him. So he would be, for us, he would probably be our 5th choice option, right? He'd be slotted in front of Trossard.
I think the nice thing about him is that he gives you quite a bit something different to Haaland. but he can also play either wing and in
the fact
10.
that he can, the fact that he can play wide or as a 10 is
Yep.
good for him, which is a bit really like what Jesus gives us, right? I mean,
Yeah, it is.
He's like a poor man's Jesus, basically.
Yep. So, but yeah, definitely a little younger. Definitely, I think a little bit thinned out of quality. Not to say they're not still probably one of the best teams in the world, because they are. But
yeah, of course,
of
course. I mean, we're talking relative, right? We're grading on a curve.
Right,
no one's suggesting that Man City are Southampton.
Right.
You're just grading on a curve. You
Right.
have to look at it through that prism. I think the thing is that the Premier League this year, I just think it's so weak this year. Chelsea are bad. Man United are bad. The bottom teams are worse than they've ever been. And I just think when you look at these games for City, and this is a point I want to bring up about Liverpool too. Liverpool haven't won a single game against anyone in the top 6.
Yeah.
Right? Not a single game
crazy.
against anyone in the top 6. And the fact that they have got 70 points, despite that, tells you how easy the rest of this league is to beat up. And this is the thing with Man City, right? If you look at Man City's games, they've got Luton at home. They're definitely winning that. They've got Brighton away. We just saw that. There's no way they're not winning at Brighton. They've got Forest away. They're definitely winning that. They've got Wolves at home. They're definitely winning that. They've got
you never know, mate.
I do know, Juz. I do know, right? Okay. Then they've got Fulham away. They're definitely winning that. Then on the last day, they've got West Ham at home. They're definitely winning that. The only game where you can say they've got a tricky tie is Tottenham away, which hasn't been slotted in yet, but looks like it's going to be into that last game of the season. They have a minimum of 6 wins from that. I think it will be 7, but that is a minimum of 6 wins out of that. There's no way any of them 6 teams are taking anything off of Man City. No way in the world.
Look, I'm not arguing that City's got the easiest run in, I think, of the 3 of us. But they're also in 3rd. I
also don't think ours is as hard as people are making out.
No. We just have United and Spurs. That's it.
Yeah, and I don't see that United is a tough game. I know it's Old Trafford and I know we've got a bad record there, but it's that to me, that isn't a tough game. Tottenham away is a tough game. And the atmosphere that night is going to be absolutely fire. It is going to be insane, the atmosphere that night.
But I mean, even someone like Villa, they've fallen off, compared to where they were in the first half of the season. And
mate,
I don't think it's too bad, except for those 2 games. And I don't see just going by history.
I think there's too much weight being put on Unai Emery coming to the Emirates, because I think we'll just swap them aside.
I don't think we'll even think about that.
No, I think there's too much weight being put on, you've got Chelsea. Well, we always beat Chelsea anyway. And this Chelsea team are not very good, let's be honest.
Speaking of, I mean, Sheffield is one of the worst teams I think I've ever seen in the Premier League. And for them to draw Chelsea by the end, I mean, man, mate. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. And I just think the gap between, I think us and Man City, right, are quite a bit ahead of Liverpool. But then Liverpool are quite a bit ahead of Spurs. And I just think that gap between us and then the Spurs thing, it equalises out a little bit because it's a derby, because it's going to be so vociferous there. That evens that out again. But if you took us to Villa, I think that gap is just huge. I think that gap is so big between quality of the 2 teams. And I think Liverpool are a rung below us, and I think the gap is big for them too. And I think that's why I just don't see Man City dropping points between now and the end of the season, except that Spurs game. And even then, if they need to win that game, I can't see them not winning it.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I can't really argue, to be honest, Gav. I just, all I can do is hope. But at least the destiny's in our hands.
Yeah, it absolutely is. So let's touch on the United game briefly. United Liverpool, which was absolute nuts. Like we've already said that the misses, but it was funny. I was talking in a group with some United fans and a Liverpool fan actually during the game, and I said to the United were getting absolutely pummeled and Liverpool were just missing chance after chance after chance. And I said the thing with Liverpool is they will give you a chance, right? They are going to give you a chance. That back door is never locked with Liverpool. They always give you a chance. 5 minutes later, Konsa passes it straight to Fernandez, who chips it in, and someone just quoted back to me, "Well, you called it," and that's all it is. And then if you look at the goal from Mainu, now don't get me wrong, it was a good finish, but Curtis Jones don't get anywhere near him when he turns. Like, that would never happen with one of our midfielders. Never. Arteta would be going nuts, and no one has mentioned it, but I just don't think Liverpool play well enough without the ball to really sustain this the whole way through. As much as they are better than the likes of Villa and Spurs, the reason they are not at the level of us and Man City is exactly this. They just can't. They're not a two-way team.
Yeah. I mean, I have a lot of respect and time for Liverpool still, but I agree. I think they still are kind of a rung below us in City right now.
I think the week after next, Judge. So they've got on Saturday. I think we're all gonna win on Saturday, right? We've got Villa at home. Man City have got Luton at home, and Liverpool have got Palace at home, right? So I think we're all gonna win that. The following week is where I think we have another interesting one, because us and Liverpool both play twice, where Man City only play once, right? We go to Wolves, and then we've got Chelsea at home, and Liverpool go to Fulham and go to Everton. It would not surprise me if Liverpool come out of that with 2 or 3 points rather than 4 or 6. And I think if they do that, I think it's toast for them.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. And Fulham's been a very weird club this season.
They've done well against the top teams.
They have. Yep, they're kind of like Wolves of a couple of seasons ago. They're taking scalps. And so, I mean, yeah, you could be right. And then the Merseyside derby with Everton and Liverpool, you can't ever predict that. It's been kind of a bananas game for as long as I can remember.
Yeah, there's always weird stuff that happens. There's always red cards. There's, it's not, and Everton, of course, got docked another 2 points today. So now Everton are sitting 2 points above a relegation zone that Luton are doing their best to get out of. I think it will be Forest that go in the end. And I'm amazed at how well Luton have done over the last couple of months to drag themselves back in it. But
they've gotten together a lot.
Yeah, but Everton are right in it now, right in it.
Yeah, and I don't want to devote a lot of time to this or anything, but I can't help but feel bad for them. Honestly, you've got Everton just getting, this is their third points deduction.
It's the second one, isn't it? Because they got deducted 6 that got reduced to 4 on appeal, was it? And now this is 2 points.
Okay, I don't know why. I thought there was a third in there too, but
it's probably because of the appeal, because the appeal got settled.
I feel really bad for them though, especially we're looking at City with 115 infractions, right? And meanwhile, big bad Everton over here, who everyone knows is I mean, just to have that, if they get relegated and the City just gets some fine, I think it's going to be really egregious.
Well, you got to remember, Forest are in that boat too, mate, because Forest got points deducted. So if Forest go down, it will be because of the points that they got chopped off. Like that is, if they go down, that will be it. Because if they had them points, they would be safe.
Yeah. So the whole situation is just, it's just ridiculous. And I hate that they just, I mean, look, I understand how much more complex City's situation is than Everton's or Forest. I get it, and there's so many infractions and probably,
and they're fighting it, right? They're not cooperating.
They are,
whereas Everton and Forest kind of, it's different charges, right? Everton and Forest can't really fight the fact that they've just lost too much money because it's right there on the balance sheet, and Man City
of course, I'm not
saying
anybody's wrong.
No, but Man City would be in that position, except the charges that they've got thrown at them is all because they've masked the fact that they are so far out of whack.
Yeah, but all I'm saying is that it's really like a stab in the gut for considering both Forest and Everton could go down based on this.
Yeah,
and City's got significant. I mean, we're talking 10 times, 15 times more infractions, and
It is a discussion for another time because it would take forever. Yeah. But I do think there's a valid argument that Man City should not be allowed to compete while these charges are hanging over them. I definitely think that's a valid argument. It's one I haven't heard made many places, and I don't know why. But I'll tell you this, Juz. I want to win this title this season while Man City is still at their cheaty best and while Klopp is still at Liverpool. Because I think that means more if we can do that. I don't want to win a title because Man City have been docked 30 points. I don't want to win it that way. I want to win it this way, and then I want to win it again next year when they have been docked 60 points or thrown out of the league. But I want to win one while they're still here and still cheating.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. I'd love, like, if we just won on like the technicality of a points deduction. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'd be happy it's a title, right? But I prefer, City being where they are right now and getting that title from.
This goes back to the thing why I think that if Man City do get stripped of titles, which I believe they should do, but I think you leave them vacant. I don't think you give them to the second place team.
Yeah, I agree. Really yeah, I agree. And I mean, I don't want to get too deep into City and their infractions right now. So, but yeah, it's a three-way race now. I am definitely feeling more threatened by City than Liverpool, despite I believe Liverpool second, aren't they? But I'm with you. I don't think they can win out where I think it's almost a certainty for City.
Yeah, I think you have to look at it that way. I think whoever finishes above Man City wins the league. I've thought that way for a long time. It's why I was happy when they drew, when a lot of people were saying, oh, well, you want a Man City win because Liverpool are top. No. I want Man City dropping points wherever they can because there's not many chances for them to do it.
Yep, exactly.
But onto our game, Juz. I thought it was one of our best performances of the season, I think. The first 15 minutes was a bit iffy. I thought we were under-hitting some passes. I think we were coming to terms with the way Brighton were playing. We should have scored in the first minute. Your favourite kickoff led to a foul on Kai. The guy puts the ball in, and Gabriel. That is a unusual miss from Big Gabby.
Yeah, I agree. Great chance, great way to start the game. Yeah, definitely uncharacteristic, but he put himself about a few times on the night.
He did, yeah. Well. I thought he had another really, really good game. Yep. And it was just kind of chance after chance for us once we settled in. Saka had the one he bent wide that he really should have scored. The Jesus header that he headed wide, I'm still not sure. It's like he had a 50 pence head. It just bounced off at some weird angle. The first time shot that was saved, I actually thought Jesus did pretty well just to get that on target. And then we get the penalty. 100% penalty for me.
Oh, yeah, Stonewall. I mean, 100. I just I rewatched the game actually today, but I also threw highlights on before we started. And every time I'm just like, there's no. I mean, he just chopped his leg out.
Yeah, I don't know what Lee Dixon's talking about because there is a touch on the ball, but it doesn't stop Jesus. The ball is beyond the defender, and Jesus is hurdling him into the box when the defender trips him. So the touch on the ball is absolutely irrelevant. Yep. So we get the penalty.
Speaking of, actually, we don't have to spend a lot of time on this, but Lee Dixon is kind of lately he's been more anti-Arsenal than pro. I'm starting to get a little frustrated with the guy.
Yeah, I think sometimes, especially when we're good, I think some of these pros go out of their way to show that they're not biased towards us. Do you know what I mean? And I think sometimes maybe they go a bit too far. But yeah, I don't know what he was on about, and he kept banging on about it on Saturday. And I didn't. To me, that was a very, very obvious penalty.
Yeah, same. And I love Lee, but I am starting to get a little bit annoyed at how and that probably is it. He's trying to show anti-bias, but it's getting a little tiring.
I do think that's what it is. Alan Smith used to be like that when he first started as well. He would go extra hard on Arsenal just because he didn't want people to think he was favouring them. Yeah. But that was an excellent penalty, Juz. I think Saka's penalties are just getting better and better. We did the usual Erdegaard holding the ball. Yep. I mean, he was never, ever going to take it. I think we all knew he was about to throw it to Saka, and he did, and Saka slotted it away.
Yeah, I was actually hoping you'd bring this up. I do think his penalties have gotten a lot
Oh,
better.
100%. They're so much better this year than last year. There's so much more conviction. You remember
Yep.
last year, he was taking them and we were happy they were going in, but we were never really sure they were going to. I
Oh,
never had
yeah.
any doubt on Saturday that was going in. He just looks a different player with the ball on the spot.
He does, yeah. And I mean, I assume that's a lot of training ground work. Because he started taking penalties after the Euro miss, basically, right? For Arsenal, I mean.
Yeah, that's when he grabbed the one off Martinelli, didn't he,
Yep.
at Stamford Bridge, and he took that, and he just
Yep.
hasn't basically relinquished. I know Odegaard's took a couple, but he really hasn't relinquished it since then.
But I mean, I had very little confidence in him. He was scoring penalties, but everyone I was just like, damn, that was lucky, or the
Yeah,
the keeper just missed it, or
yeah,
whatever.
they never felt emphatic, did they? But
Yeah,
I think
but the
this year they
conviction,
have. Yeah,
you're right. The conviction has been pretty insane lately, and he's taking really good pens now. And I laugh at the whole Odegaard holding the ball and then handing it to Saka. I don't know how much that actually plays, but
I think it's a good move though, because people do try and get around the taker. I mean, a lot of teams do it. There's got to be something in there with a sports psychologist who say it does. I mean, I don't know how many times it has to happen before people figure it out. But then I guess in the heat of the moment on the pitch, you're really only looking at the guy with the ball. I guess you're not
yeah,
really thinking about, oh well, he's going to do this. I guess that's the thinking behind it.
yeah.
So we went in at half time 1-0. I think that flattered Brighton immensely. I thought we could have been 4 up. Second half was pretty much the same as the first half, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Havertz's goal was a beauty.
It really was. Yeah. So I watched it like 30 times in the whole he kind of like bumps the defender and then makes like a Z run inside him.
He did the
receive
fake
ball.
run. He let him know he was there
Oh.
to make sure he saw him, went to run in front, then pulled off and went behind him.
It was really nice. And the ball by Jorginho too was great. In fact, Jorginho's whole awareness was really good because I didn't
carrying
expect
on that
him
because
to
he won it back. It was Jorginho that made the interception.
Yep.
Saka was down on the ground. He gives it to Odegaard and he carried on going. Odegaard picked him out, puts it across Havertz there at the near post. And that's, if Kai can add that to his game, then we definitely don't need to be buying a striker.
Yep. But I mean, I can't praise Jorginho enough, even to be kind of over there in that right wing area. I mean, just really good awareness. The pass was great, but Havertz's finishing there was brilliant. And yeah, I mean, great goal. My favorite goal in the night.
Yeah, and then Havertz set up the third one, which was great to see. We made the changes again, just before 70 minutes actually. I think Saka's off. Jesus is off, and Trossard's on. Martinelli's on. Martinelli off the right again, which I still don't like. But Trossard kind of almost got away. Defender gets a tackle in, and Havertz, great awareness by Havertz to send him through. Trossard goes through, little feint on the goalkeeper, chip over. And you know what I loved about this, Juz? He celebrated. They booed him when he come on. They booed every touch, and then he was just like, yeah. And did you see his Twitter post afterwards? I
didn't.
You didn't? So it was the picture of him standing there with his arms out, and it just said, "Are you not entertained?" I thought that's fantastic.
No, that's great. Yeah, I didn't see that, but that's great. Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm super happy, we got that third goal just to bury it. But man, I couldn't help but think like, what the hell were Brighton doing pushed up that high? I mean,
they're at desperation point there. Though, to be quite honest with you, they were lucky that we didn't put 7 past them. Like that performance was every bit as good as we were at Sheffield United or West Ham. The goals just didn't come. We had the chances. I think we had 6 clear chances, I think it was, on the night. And it was just, Brighton had 10 shots, but I think 9 of them were from outside the box. Raya made a good save too, similar to the one in Porto, but that beat him, but wasn't quite as high and wasn't quite as in the corner, so it was just within reach. But I think our XG was 3.96 or something like that. Was it? Have you got it in front of you? It's like 3.9.
I got the stats, but I don't have
chances. Yeah, so I don't know. I felt like 3-0 flattered Brighton a little bit.
Yeah, you're probably right about that. Even though there was a few really close chances, I didn't feel like it would have been maybe over 5-0, but maybe that's just some residual respect I'm still giving to Brighton that they maybe didn't deserve.
And I'm not complaining. 3-0 does me just fine. I thought it was again, like I said, we got to bring some players off before the Bayern game. And yeah, fantastic performance. I think this is the sort of people always say, "Oh, champions they win when they're not playing well." I say bollocks, right? That is not the hallmark of champions. The hallmark of champions is you don't play badly very often. That is the hallmark of champions. These games, the game that we won against Luton, this game on Saturday, these are the games of champions.
I don't like that whole champions win despite playing bad. I feel like that's only like a Sir Alex Ferguson late Man United idiom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it was never said about anybody else. Well, I mean, Mourinho, I guess, was known to grind out, but it's not been a Klopp thing. It's not been a Pep thing.
No, if you're playing badly, you're not winning leagues. That's all it is to it.
Yep.
All right, mate. Well, let's leave first off there. We'll come back and preview Bayern in part 2.
All right. Sounds good, mate.
All right, bye. Hey guys, just a couple of quick halftime messages for you. Firstly, we'd really appreciate it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favorite podcast app. It really helps us reach a wider audience, particularly on Apple Podcasts. Secondly, we're on all the social media platforms as the NN Pod. We're really trying to build a strong Gooner community. So next time you're on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, look us up, give us a like or a follow, send us a message, interact with other listeners, or just have a look around. Thanks for listening from myself, Paz and Juz. We really appreciate it. Welcome back to the Non-Negotiables podcast. This is part 2. Bayern preview time. Juz, Champions League quarterfinal, first leg. How does that sound?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. This is probably the biggest game we've had in a while. Maybe, I don't know, since Europa League final?
It's the biggest cup game. I mean, I would say that Man City at home last year was a bigger game. Of course, we fluffed our lines, but yeah, it's the biggest cup game we've had for a long time, for sure.
Yeah. I'm feeling pretty good about it. I think kind of things are rosy for Arsenal right now. We're in great form. We have, a decent injury situation. And we're looking at a Bayern Munich that may be the worst Bayern Munich in 15 years, 20 years. Your thoughts?
I'm excited. I just can't wait for this game to start. I already want it to be 8:00 tomorrow night because I can't wait for this game to start. I think it's going to be a great night. The atmosphere is going to be absolutely top quality. There's no Bayern fans in attendance, which I actually am a little bit disappointed about because I do like the away fans there. I'm not a big fan of no away fans in the ground. I think it harms the atmosphere, but I don't think you're going to be able to put a dampener on this atmosphere tomorrow night, even with that. I don't think we need the Bayern fans in there.
Didn't they say though that they were going to be willing? They're reallocating those tickets to more Arsenal fans.
They are.
I thought I saw that.
They are, but they've also upped the amount of tickets that UEFA have got. I think I read. So, I just think it's better when there's two sets of fans in the stadium, when you can go at each other and stuff. I just think it helps the atmosphere. But like I said, tomorrow night, I don't think there's going to be any need for that atmosphere to be helped.
No, I don't think so either. And I get what you're saying. Like it makes a lot of sense, but I think just any advantage that we can have in this home leg is going to be huge. I actually, maybe once, twice a week, I look at the league table and our opponents, our fixtures and stuff like that. And, just kind of analyze it again in my head. And I've forgotten like 3 times that we're still in the Champions League. Just totally like focused on the league, not like,
yeah.
Anyways, so, I mean, I think the more efficiently we can get through these games, the better for me.
Yeah. Yeah. And we did that Saturday. Like we said, we got to take some players off. We did play Saturday as well. So at least it's not Sunday, Tuesday. We did get, Erdegaard got a whole 1 minute of rest, but we did get Saka and Jesus off before 70 minutes. So that will help.
We start with Neil Smith Rowe as well. Well,
and team news from Bayern, but yeah, I'm just moving beyond that. team news from Bayern's point of view. Bayern are obviously they're toast in the league. I mean, I think they're 16 points behind Leverkusen now. I think Leverkusen need one more win to officially wrap it up. So that's done for them. So they actually rested a load of players the weekend. Jan Alger Fjortov put out a tweet saying that all these players were injured, and someone else wrote underneath, "There's no way they're injured. They're just being rested." And he said, "We'll see. I'm telling you, they're all injuries." Well, Fabrizio Romano has reported back that all of them trained and all of them will be available for tomorrow night. So I think we can say that Manuel Neuer, Kingsley Coman, Matsuri, Pavlovic, they're all playing tomorrow night. So even though, like you said, this isn't the most vintage of Bayern teams, I still think this is going to be a tough time, man. The fact that it's Europe, the fact that there's still that little Harry Kane narrative there, and he's diving for a penalty at some point. And it's still Bayern Munich at the end of the day. They're still a big, proud club, and they're not going to want to come to England and get turned over. So I still think this is going to be a really tough tie.
100%. I'm not saying it's going to be a walk, despite everything I said when we are in our intro. There's tons of quality in that side still, tons of quality.
And I just worry that some of our best players haven't been at their best in the Champions League. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think you can point at William Saliba and say, mate, you've been a little bit below your level in the Champions League. I think you can point the same finger at Declan Rice. I don't think Declan Rice was good in the 2 Porto games. And I don't know what it is. Obviously, these players don't have the experience. They're going to get better in this competition. I just think it's a different game.
I think I agree, by the way. I do, especially when you bring up Saliba. Rice, I've not noticed as much, but definitely a little bit. But Saliba's been very, I don't want to say very questionable, but he's been less than his best.
He's just looked a little bit edgy, right?
Yep.
I think he's just looked a little bit edgy.
Yep. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just the the magnitude of the moment or whatever. But I'm ready. I'm not afraid of this game. I just want to go in there and fucking kill him, Gaff.
I agree. We need some revenge for all them 5-1s. What I will say, what I've really noticed about Bayern from what I've seen when I've looked at them, they're a top-heavy team, right? They remind me a little bit, actually, of Liverpool, in that they still look really good going forward, but the back door is never bolted. If you look, they've got Harry Kane up top, they've got Sané, they've got Gnabry, they've got Muller, they've got Kingsley Coman. Yep. They've got a lot of good players going forward. I'm not quite sure they've got as many good players going backwards. I mean, we just got to hope that Eric Dyer starts. Him and Upamecano, we should have a field day against them. Havertz should be licking his lips.
I agree. Yeah, especially with regards to Upamecano. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know. I just feel like with as strong as we are at the back, this should be advantage us, just the way these two teams play in general. I mean, if they come they're not going to come and be wide open like PSV were. Do you know what I mean? Like that.
No, of course
that's not going to happen. But they are going to come out and attack us. Like, I don't expect the entire game to be played in Bayern Munich's final third, like for big spells of the Porto game was. So I think that might actually play into our hands a little bit.
Yeah, and I think with regards to their central, so Bayern's traditionally been playing a 4-2-3-1, and they're two. Obviously, Goretzka's a really good player, but they're his pairing, his central midfield partner is it's either Leimer.
We forgot Musiala as well. Musiala might actually.
Well, he's a winger. Player. He's almost always a winger.
He might actually be their best player.
But they or Guerrero, that's who I was looking for, and they've not had good chemistry, at all this season. I think that's a big part of why they're kind of been poor this season as well. And I feel like our midfield's gonna tear that up.
Yeah, and the wide players are going to be interesting as well, because Alphonso Davies, we probably know more about him than a lot of fans in England, just because he played in the MLS. He played over here for a while. He's a fantastic player, better going forward than he is defensively. but he's a really good player. He's going to be up against Bukayo Saka. And then the other side, he's going to be Josh Kimmich. And as good a player as Kimmich is, I don't think he's going to be able to handle whichever one of Gabriel Jesus or Martinelli starts out there. Let's do that, actually, Juz. First 11, what are you thinking?
Okay. So Raya.
Yep.
Ben White.
Do you look at it this way, right? So we'll take the team on Saturday. Raya, White, Zinchenko, Gabriel, Saliba, Jorginho, Rice, Erdegaard, Saka, Jesus, Havertz. How many changes? Because I'm going for 0.
The only one that I could potentially see is Martinelli coming back in for Jesus and having
there's
Jesus.
that one, and then there's Tommy and Zinchenko. I think are the only 2 possible changes we could see. And I don't think I think Zinchenko is going to start, and I think Jesus is going to start. So I don't think there will be any changes, but they are the only 2 changes that I can possibly see.
Yeah, I'm with you. I can't really see a lot either. And it looks like they're pretty strong on the wings still, Bayern.
They are. That is their strength. Like we said, their strength is their front 4, front 5, however you want to look at it. I mean, I'm assuming that it will be Sane on one side, Gnabry on the other, with Musiala in the hole behind Kane. Would be my assumption. That leaves Thomas Muller on the bench. That leaves Kingsley Coman on the bench. But that would be my assumption.
Yeah, with Kimmich and Davies and at fullback. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. That would be my assumption. Is how they're going to play.
Yeah, I mean that's still very nice with but I mean whether we roll out if it's Saka and White and Martinelli and Tommy, I feel really good about that still, or Jesus and Tommy, it doesn't matter. But yeah, that is a good point. I could see them calling on Tomiyasu to come in on this one.
See, I would consider that, but one thing that I will say here is that I've heard a lot of people say, well, there's Tomiyasu games and there's Zinchenko games. The person I've never seen with any inclination for that being true is Mikel Arteta. If Zinchenko is fit, Zinchenko starts. The only time we've ever seen Tomiyasu starting and Liverpool. Zinchenko on the bench was that Liverpool game. And even then, Zinchenko was coming back from an injury. Zinchenko wasn't fully fit. So I don't think that Mikel Arteta actually believes that. I don't think there are Zinchenko games and there are Tomiyasu games. I think there are Zinchenko games, which is whenever he's fit, and then there are Tomiyasu games, which is whenever Zinchenko is injured.
Yeah, mate, I agree. I think that's pretty much like a fan invention.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think Arteta thinks that way at all.
But I do see the logic in it, and quite frankly, I would be very tempted to start. And I'm a huge Zinchenko fan. I would be very tempted to start Tomiyasu on Tuesday. I don't think he will. I think he's going to start Zinchenko, but I would be tempted to start Tomiyasu tomorrow night.
And I would say too, they're kind of both coming back from not kinda. They are.
Oh no,
they're
they
both
are
coming back from injury. So who knows? He may just look at it and say.
But funnily enough, he tends to throw Zinchenko in a lot quicker than just about anybody else, right?
Yep.
Like the amount of times you think Zinchenko is out, he's going to get eased back in, and all of a sudden you look at the team sheet and he's just straight back on it again. Like a lot of people said, oh, well, he played Zinchenko on Saturday, so he's going to play Tomiyasu on Tuesday. Arteta doesn't think like that. That's not how this works.
And then you look at somebody like Thomas Partey, he'll be out for a while, and when he comes back in, he needs 5-6 sub appearances to get back to his best. Zinny, he comes back in from like a month layoff, and it's like he never left. So
and it's so I think we both agree that Jorginho is going to start, right?
I do, I think
so. I think so. I had this debate with a friend of mine this morning who said Jorginho, he can't play twice in a week. Why? Yeah. Jorginho's problem is not fitness; it's pace. And that pace ain't there whether he plays once a week, once every 6 months, or once every day. Like Jorginho doesn't have a fitness problem. I don't really understand where this comes from, that Jorginho can't play.
That's where it comes from.
What's that?
FIFA.
Yeah, maybe.
All these kids. No, I'm serious. All these kids, like the second you hit 30 in FIFA, you start going downhill.
Yeah, maybe. Because I don't see Jorginho as having a fitness problem. Jorginho looks fit as fuck to me. So I don't see why Jorginho can't play 2 games a week. Like, honestly, I think as of right now, if I had to put money on the over/under on Partey starting games between now and the end of the season, I would put it at 1.5 because the only game I can see him starting is Bournemouth at home. Other than that, I do not see Thomas Partey starting a game. I think unless there's injuries, obviously, but if everybody is healthy, I think Jorginho, Rice, and Ødegaard will start every single game between now and the end of the season.
I mean, I think it's very, very clear that Jorginho is favored. I guess he's reliable. He's trusted. He's relied 100%. Upon. Yeah, he's trusted.
I mean, let's be fair. If you bring Partey back in, and again, I think I would like to see Partey brought back in, but I'm not the biggest Jorginho fan in the world. Although I think he's been good, but I would like to see Partey brought back in. But I don't think that's the plan. I really don't think that's the plan. I think the plan is to roll out these three like we have been. And unless there's an injury, I'm not sure Partey's getting another start. You might have seen Partey start his last game for Arsenal.
Who's in the six, Gav?
That's an interesting point, isn't it? Because I kind of have a feeling that it's going to get flipped. I kind of feel like it's going to be like Liverpool, where Rice is and Jorginho's playing a bit further forward. Because whether it's Musiala, whether it's Gnabry, whether it's Muller, whoever it is that's playing in that 10 with those wingers in support, I just have a feeling we need Declan Rice's legs.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be Rice in the 6. And I will caveat my own opinion here. If we're not planning to start...
Is that like caveat?
Caveat?
Yeah, is that like caveat?
I thought it was the verb. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? I thought
it's caveat, but carry on.
Okay. Well, if Havertz doesn't start in the 9, I'd prefer him in midfield. And I know I've basically been pretty much anti-Havertz in midfield, but I would. But
do you think there's any chance he doesn't start in the 9 though? Because I don't. I think I think Martinelli starts on the bench because I think Arteta wants to play Jesus, but I don't. I think if Jesus is in the team right now, it's on the left. I don't see him starting up top.
What if your kind of like long-term thoughts have been on Jesus on the left so far? I don't think he's really. I don't think he's been bad.
I prefer Martinelli out there. I have to be honest. I do prefer Martinelli out there, but I don't think it's a bad problem to have, right? Like I think Jesus is still, but I prefer Jesus up top to Havertz. But you can't argue with how Havertz has been playing. I thought at Brighton that may have been Havertz's best performance for us. It was certainly really right good, up there. Yeah. I thought he was excellent. He scored the goal. He set up the third one. He won the free kick straight from that kickoff that should have been the first one when Gabriel headed it wide. Like I thought he was absolutely excellent. His movement, the way he was bringing people into play. I still wish he'd stand up a little bit more. But I thought he was absolutely amazing on Saturday. See, why would you take him out?
And we've already discussed this, but that was a real striker's goal. Like giving him the shoulder and then just cutting above to be, perfect placement, perfect timing. I mean, that's.
And I think we forget because I don't know if you heard this, but he's 6'4", and I think because of that, I think we think of him a little bit differently, and because we bought him from Chelsea for all that money.
Oh, like he's a donkey.
He's still only 23.
He's a donkey, mate.
So he loves donkeys. He loves donkeys. I think there's still so much time for him to add more to his game.
You know what's interesting is that I think, and now keep in mind when I say this, I'm still not the biggest Havertz fan. I just, I'm capable of giving him, credit when it's due. I do think Jesus maybe individually performs better at striker than Havertz, but I think Havertz fits the team better. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think Jesus is a much better footballer. Right.
Yeah.
Like I think that's what it comes down to. You put the ball at his feet, and Jesus is a much better footballer than Kai Havertz. Kai will still fall over the ball. He'll still have a touch that bounces off his shin and goes out of play. Like he'll still fluff a chance from 2 yards out. That's in his game, and that's not going anywhere. Like what Kai Havertz isn't is the best footballer in the world. What he is one of the cleverest and one of the hardest working. The way he works, the way he gets back, he gives the ball away, but then he's the one who's fighting to get it back. And Jesus does that too. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not saying Jesus can't do that. He does. But you're right. He does open a different dimension for us because where Jesus is always looking to come back towards the ball. Jesus only ever comes back towards the ball. Havertz looks to go in behind, and that stretches teams. And I think, when we've all been talking over the last year about we need a number 9, what we've really been saying is we need someone that wants to play up front a bit more, right? Like Jesus doesn't look like he wants to play up front. He looks like he wants to be a number 10. And I think what we've been saying is we want someone that goes in, that will go in behind, that will do the dirty work up front rather than coming back into midfield. And that's
but did we have that with someone like Abba?
No, I don't think so. He was just a goal poacher, wasn't he? I mean, he never did the dirty work. You couldn't get these performances that we're getting out of Kai Havertz out of Aubameyang.
Yeah,
Yes, he wanted to run in behind. I mean, and let's be fair, he did it mostly off of the left for us. But I don't think you could, this level of pressing and this level of intelligence, you just didn't get this from.
Yeah, he just wasn't interested like that.
No. And Lacazette was like a shit version of Gabby Jesus, right? He always wanted to come back into midfield. He wanted the ball with his back to goal. He never wanted to go through on goal because obviously he was never going to be able to make it.
That's actually really interesting because I remember watching Laka at Lyon, and he used to run through a lot more. I think he just changed his game, with age, slowing down.
And I liked Lacazette. I mean, at the end of the day, he was a Europa League striker that we paid Champions League money for. And
overpaid.
That was a problem. It would have been better had we have not bought him and just bought Aubameyang, that's for sure. But, it is what it is. At the end of the day, neither of them were really good enough to, neither of them could play in this team. They're just, it's just night and day. They couldn't do it. But
everybody that was responsible for those decisions aren't even part of the club anymore either.
No,
so
it's
obvious that we're in a much different direction with a much higher caliber of players.
Absolutely. And like I say, I think we just what we've been saying for a while is we wanted that player that would run in behind from the centre forward position, so it wasn't all on Saka and Martinelli all the time. And I just think Havertz has given us that. Now, I think there's an argument to be had in the summer about can we get someone who can do that better than Havertz. But right now, Havertz is our best option if that's what we're looking for. And then comes the point of what do you do with Gabby Jesus, right? That is the question now. And if he starts wide left, then Martinelli's on the bench.
Yeah. I don't look at that as much as a problem, though.
I don't think it's a problem. I think it's great, and I think that is that little triangle, that little threesome of players, if you like, between Jesus, Martinelli, and Havertz. I do think you can like sort of interchange between.
Yeah, they're totally.
You can have Jesus or Martinelli in, or you can have both of them in. You know what I mean? Like you can do that with these players.
Yep, and Jesus is easily our second best option at right wing as well.
Yes, by a long way, I think.
Yeah, in place of Saka, and I
think hopefully we won't have to see. I mean, he's training in full today. If anyone was worried, I know there was a few people worried about it. Saka ain't missing tomorrow night.
No, I don't think so.
But I think that's it now. Saka's had all the time off he's going to get between now and the end of the season. Saka's now starting every game.
But it's kind of the brilliance of it is like, okay, yeah, we have two high caliber, good players that compete for the number 9, right? But you've got Havertz that can play number 9, the wing, number 10. You've got Jesus that can play on both wings at number 9, and he could probably do a job at 10. I mean, I don't think we've seen it, but so I think the fact that they're both kind of competing for 4 positions, it's not as much of like who does it have to be, because you can just kind of plug and play.
Yeah, and and you need finishers too. You know what I mean? Like I don't mean finishers in goal scorer. I mean you need finishers for games. I think Zinchenko is going to start tomorrow night. I tell you this, there ain't no chance he finishes the game if he starts. None, because that's not what he is. He'll be on there for 65 minutes, and then he'll be off, and Tomiyasu will come on, and that's fine. Yeah. And Jesus, if he starts on the left wing, where I think he will, after 65 minutes, Martinelli's going to be coming on. And that's absolutely fine. I don't have an issue with any of that. I think it's great that we've got these options. And I think with Jesus and Martinelli, you are going to see, it does seem like Kai has kind of cemented that 9 for right now. Mm-hmm. And I do think Martinelli and Jesus is where you're going to see the rotation. We're back to where we were a year ago with Martinelli and Trossard, basically.
Yeah, that's true.
Just with higher quality because Jesus is a better player than Trossard. So,
and Trossard's interesting too because he's another player competing primarily for that left wing spot, but can
which has
fill
been
in.
Interesting that Martinelli's been brought on the right wing over the last couple of games, isn't it?
I think so as well. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I don't love it. I know you said that already too. Martinelli on the right.
But do we not love it because we're just not used to it? And to us, we look at it and we go, "Oh, that's a bit weird."
I'm looking at it and I just see Martinelli doing a lot of the same things he did on the left, just less effectively.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Can I have a popsicle?
Yes, go.
Can I have a popsicle too?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's no, I do wonder if we look at it and we are uneasy with it just because we're not used to it. Do you know what I mean? Like I think that's the thing. Because let's be fair, this happened to us a little bit with Raya at the start of the season. Not that we thought he should be playing right back, but that we looked at him and we looked at Ramsdale and we're looking at Raya and we're going, well, that's not how you play in goal. Like that's not how you do it. You can't be 5'3" and play in goal. And we're being proved wrong. Apparently, you can be 5'3" and not being able to make a save. No, that's not fair. He made a save at the weekend, but you can do that and play if it allows us to play the way we want to play.
And it has. And I love Ramsdale to death, mate. He's a great. He's been my favorite keeper at Arsenal for a long time now. But I do think that even though he's the better shot stopper, Raya just gives us, so much more offensively. And
let's be fair, that argument's done. It's done.
Yeah,
it's put to bed. And I mean, it's not even as in, well, Arteta's has made up his mind, so you're not going to change this. That argument has been put to bed because it has been proven that we are a much better team with Raya in goal.
Definitely.
It's 100% proven. So you can't argue that. And it's funny because it's been a long time since we've had a good goalkeeper. A long time. I know
a great goalkeeper, you mean?
Yeah, I know a lot of people like Szczesny. I liked Szczesny, but
he
wasn't at that level. Almunia is one of the worst goalkeepers I've ever seen in the top flight. I would possibly put him in a worst ever Arsenal 11 for players that have who've played a serious amount of time.
I think so.
Ospina was crap. Czech was
not crap, mate. But yeah, I know what you mean. He was definitely a tier below what Arsenal was used to.
Czech was awful for us. I think he's even one of the worst signings of all time.
I hated that, yeah.
So I think the Emirates era, we've really not seen a good goalkeeper. Ramsdale is easily the best goalkeeper that we've seen in that era. Now, Raya is...
Pre-Raya, you mean, right?
Yeah, pre-Raya, not including Raya in that, up until that point. So the affection was always going to be there because he's easily the best we've had in 2 decades.
Yeah. I mean, I personally, I had a bit of affection for, Flappy Hansky, but your statement's still true, I think. No, I did, actually. I thought, and he's done really great at West Ham, I think.
Do you know what? He does, and this could be the future for Ramsdale too, because Fabianski does really well in teams that are being bombarded, right? He does better in a team like Swansea or a team like West Ham who face a lot more shots than we do. I think it takes a certain sort of character to be able to pull off one save in 90 minutes and be concentrated for the entire game. And
100%.
And Fabianski, to me, always struggled with that. When he was there, and this was exactly the same for Almunia, but that could be because Almunia is worse than you. But when Almunia was there, we conceded from the first shot on target nearly every game. Every game. And it was the same with Fabianski. We would concede from the first shot because they'd go 15 minutes with nothing to do, and then they couldn't deal with it. And I think that's the beauty with Raya is that he stays switched on. David Seaman was very good at it when we had a good backline and he didn't have much to do. But when he got called upon, he was there and he was ready for it. And I think that is a skill in itself. I just don't think many goalkeepers are really cut out to play at the very, very top. And I think it's the mental part of the game rather than... Because look, Fabianski's got all the ability in the world. He's proved that. He was one of the best goalkeepers in the Premier League for 10 years between Swansea and West Ham. He was fantastic. Obviously, he's older now, but he was fantastic. But there's not many that can make the step up. Like Van der Sar was very good at it. Van der Sar proved with Fulham that he could be that mid-tier goalkeeper. But then he went to Man United and you're like, oh, this guy's top level. He's top class. And I don't feel like there's many that can make that step. I feel like more of them. Like, I think a good example of this is and don't laugh, if Man United ever become good again, I think Onana is going to be, I told you not to laugh. I think Onana is going to be massively found out because I think while he's getting, already he palms everything straight out in front of him. But I think when he's got that nothing to do for 5 minutes and then it goes back, I think he's going to get hugely found out as a goalkeeper.
So, pure goalkeeper wise, I think Raya's, obviously the superior player, but I do think there's a bit of the Raya syndrome in Onana, where he gives them a lot more offensively than he is for a shot.
Do you know what, though? And I'm going to point this out now, and I had this discussion again yesterday. He's shit with his feet. Really, really bad. He puts half of his kicks straight out of play. He's not good with his feet. That's the bit that I don't get. He runs out of his box a lot, but he's not very good with his feet. His long pass completion percentage must be 20%.
So I'm gonna say this. I have played most positions, playing footy myself. Never really played goalkeeper at any kind of high level. So I'm basically just an amateur here talking. But I watched him quite a bit at Ajax, and I watched him a few games at Inter when he was there. And I'm not saying he's brilliant, but the system United play hurts him. And I definitely think with Lisandro Martinez out, they have two center backs that aren't quite as comfortable, and I think it shows. I'm not trying to defend Onana. I'm just saying
that wasn't my point with him. My point is any pass longer than 5 yards, he can't make. Someone who come in under this pretense that he was this great long ball passer.
He was really good. Really good ball playing.
There must be something wrong with the pitches here then, because I just see him whack 50% of the ball straight out of play.
The Eredivisie is definitely a different world than the Premier League, but he was even a decent with his feet for Inter. Nothing like what he's doing now.
Yeah, no, it's great to watch, but he's abysmal with his feet. Yeah. I think he's terrible.
Hey, it amuses me too, for sure.
Yeah. Oh, it's great. It's great to watch. And I'm really glad they got that point yesterday, because I was really worried that they were going to sack Ten Hag and we'd be facing the new manager bounce against. I still think they might. I still think if they go out at the FA Cup, if they get knocked out, who have they got? I don't even know. Did they get Man City?
I assume.
They might have Man City because Coventry beat Wolves, right? So is it Coventry Chelsea? I think it might be Coventry Chelsea. But anyway, if they go out of there, I think there's a good chance that Ten Hag just gets told, see you later. I'm hoping that they keep him till the end of the season and they don't boot him out and we face the new manager bounce.
United has Coventry.
United have got Coventry. Okay, well, maybe they win that. Maybe he gets the FA Cup final, and that's probably good for us. We don't want a different manager in charge when we go to Old Trafford. It's not fair if we don't get to face Ten Hag again this season.
Did you? Somebody said, and if this is a joke and it went over my head, I'm so sorry. I've not confirmed this information yet, but somebody said that Sam Allardyce was in there. He was
in the director's box with Jim Ratcliffe.
Let it happen.
He was up there. I looked at that, and I think everybody had the same thought. You looked at him and went, could steady the ship.
Hey, how's the gravy in Manchester?
Well, I'm sure he'd be able to get it shipped in. It's actually very good. I've got to be fair. The north of England is actually better for gravy. So he could have big bowl of chips and gravy at half time of every game. But
nice.
Yeah, no, that would be a funny one. Interestingly, so this will affect you. I don't know if you've seen this today, but Graham Potter's turned down Ajax.
I did. I saw it.
So if Potter's turned down Ajax, I just got a feeling he's going to be at Old Trafford next season.
Yeah.
I do. They're trying to bring in Ashworth, aren't they, from Brighton, who was with him back then. Yep. I've just got this feeling that Man United are going to go for Graham Potter, and I don't know how that. I don't know if that's good or bad, really, because I don't think he's as bad as he looked at Chelsea.
Me neither. I think they could do worse.
Yeah,
appointment.
I do
For sure.
I do too.
I've got a lot of time and respect for Potter, to be honest, and I think the Chelsea job was always a poison chalice. Now, I don't think he did as good as he should have, but
He
I
had
still
like
think
50
Potter's
players foist upon him at the start of the season, though, didn't he? I mean, I think he was
yeah.
he was
The
off to a
circumstances.
loser from the beginning. I mean, we had the argument, didn't we, between me, you, and Pass before he went there, where you two said he should turn the job down, and I said you don't turn down them jobs when
Yeah,
they
I
come
remember
up.
that.
And I still don't think you turn down them jobs when they come up. I think you have to take that chance. You have to back yourself. But I do understand where you two are coming from. It certainly hasn't helped him.
Oh no, definitely not. I mean, Potter was a very good manager in the Premier League for Brighton. I mean, you'd think people would be. I mean, I always thought he'd be a really good fit for Spurs. I hate to say it.
Yeah, but there was a lot of
but-
talk of that, wasn't there?
Mhm.
But then they obviously went for Postecoglou. But
Yep.
there was a lot of talk about Potter to Spurs. He does feel kind of like a project manager, doesn't he? Don't you think he feels
Yeah.
kind of like someone to build something? And I'm
Yep.
just not sure at United he'd get the time to be able to do it. That's the thing. Everyone likes a rebuild until you're eighth and losing to Olympiacos in the Europa
Yep.
Conference League. Do you know what
Yep.
I mean? And I don't know that, to be fair, I don't think Arteta would have got this time if it wasn't for COVID either. And
You're probably right.
and it's such, they all point to it, and Arteta to us is such a unique thing that I don't think you can replicate it, but they all point to it. And I don't know. I just don't know that you get the time at United to build, and you're starting from such a bad spot. Like, I genuinely believe that they need to get rid of 23 of their 25-man squad. I genuinely believe that, like we did. If you look at our team from 4 years ago to now, there's basically no one left other than Saka. And I think Man United are in a position where that's what needs to happen there. And I don't know that they've got the appetite for what comes in the middle.
I definitely think, just from the outside looking in, not a United expert or anything, they've got like more rot than I've almost ever seen at a club.
I just think they're exactly where we were in the Emery.
I think they're worse.
Do you? I think they're the same. I think they're the same. I do. I think they're exactly where we are in the Emery area. I mean, I think it's a parallel.
My biggest difference, I think, and this is a huge difference in my opinion, in like real world, is that no one is coming in for any of their players.
No one came in for any of ours. We had to pay them all to go away.
Well, I mean,
that's what I'm saying to you. That's where I think they are, and I don't know they've got the stomach for it.
But I mean, even then, they're in a worse position in the sense that like all their players are on very high wages.
Yeah, and they're in a worse position because they're starting from a worse position than we are money wise, and we're also now in this new world of the profit and loss thing that we I know we were kind of in it, but it wasn't like it is now. It wasn't this strict. So that is definitely harder for them. But hopefully they get it completely wrong.
I do find it really funny. Just let me jump back here for a second. I don't know if everyone knows, but Ajax, they lost to Feyenoord yesterday 6-0. Which that'd be like us getting like dicked by Tottenham 6-0. And I just think it's funny the Graham Potter news came out, like the day after. But I mean, that's a horrible result. Yeah,
that was crazy. I did see that result come through yesterday, and I was like, "Ooh, that's going to be a tough one to take." Because they're not even top, are they? Feyenoord aren't PSV top.
PSV are top.
Feyenoord aren't even the best team in the country, and you're getting beat 6-0.
Yeah, it's rough, mate. It's really rough. So I've not been to an Ajax game yet.
Stuivenberg said he's not going there either. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did see that.
Stuivenberg said he's not going there. So there's something weird with that Ajax job, I think, because it's a job that you would think that someone would fancy. But it is a big job, and it's a big job where you aren't going to be given the sort of Premier League resources. Do you know what I mean? Like the money they get in, they're not going out and spending that on a right back.
Yep. And it's interesting too that now they've been out of the CL for 2 years. They're more even with the pack. They're not getting that Champions League money anymore.
It makes a big deal. And they've got a couple of players that are going to be interesting, right? You got Jurian's brother. He's there, and
he's not. He's at Feyenoord.
He scored actually, didn't he? Yeah, he scored at the weekend. And then you've got Jarell Hatto that we've obviously been linked heavily with. Yep. So that'll be interesting. All right, mate. Well, listen, we'll leave it there.
Yes, sir.
Let's look forward to this Champions League game tomorrow night. Cannot wait for it. And we'll be back towards we're back towards the end of the week, and we'll wrap up Bayern and preview Villa.
All right, sounds good. Maybe what, Wednesday, Thursday is what we're thinking.
Yeah, Thursday. I think Thursday.
Okay.
So, okay, mate.
All right, perfect.
Speak
All
to you
right.
later.
All right.